Hi guys, and welcome back to the channel. Greetings from beautiful south of France, Côte d'Azur, which is an amazing place and definitely makes you forget about the recent market situation. Right, so today I want to talk about Nexo, and especially the question, is it still safe to leave my funds with Nexo? We've all seen what happened with Celsius, and that's been really detrimental to the entire crypto space, and really feel sorry for all of them who potentially lost their funds there. So naturally, as Nexo and Celsius were quite close competitors, a lot of people have been asking me, Kai, is it still safe to leave my funds with Nexo actually? And the short answer is, if you want real safety, then there's only one answer. Take your money off the exchange, guys. There's no way around it, because I'm obviously going to tell you my thoughts, what I think about Nexo and what you should do, but these are just my thoughts and opinions, right? Nobody knows the future. I mean, nobody would have thought the same would happen to Celsius. So if you want real safety, the best way in this market situation is take your coins off the exchange and put them in a hardware wallet. I use Ledger, and that's definitely my recommendation. So obviously I'm not sponsored by Nexo, so I can express my own opinion. I do get some referrals whenever somebody uses my link and signed up, which really appreciate when you do, but I'm free to speak and I can easily express my opinion, how I feel about them and what I will do. Now overall, the fact that they're still here, I mean, that's already a good sign, right? Because we have seen other players starting to struggle or collapse with such prices that we've seen. But not only that, recently, a few days ago, they came out with a video on YouTube where they interviewed basically the two co-founders of Nexo. And for me, these are nice things, because Celsius, for example, they've been so absent in the times where they should be present, and basically not answering any users' questions. And I think transparency is the most important you can have in these times, to put yourself out there and share your thoughts, share what's happening in the markets, so that the users and the customers have more confidence in your platform. So I really appreciate it that those two guys came out and obviously answered the questions they got. Now, naturally, those questions were pre-screened, right? I mean, they wouldn't answer a question where they don't have an answer to. So naturally, it was pre-recorded, it wasn't live. So I understand that, but still, the fact that they did it and gave some light on what's happening, for me, that's a good sign. And I put the link in the description below so you can watch the video yourself. Quite a long video, but it just gives a bit of insight in how they think. Now, did they answer all questions with full details? No, I do believe there is a bit of ambiguity in there. And obviously they can't reveal every single detail in the little YouTube video, but overall, I think it was really good. Now, two big things that they kept on stressing, which I think are very important, is one, the real-time auditing, that they hired a company that audits them in real time and reports on their asset, because all these things, when they're on the blockchain, obviously they're very much transparent for everyone to see, right? So the fact that they can see the assets under management and their liabilities, they can basically have a real-time audit by that company that kind of gives an idea of what's happening and where they stand. That's great. And the second thing is that they say the assets exceed their liabilities. And that's very important. That means they're holding more in savings, so to say, or collateral in Bitcoin or fiat money than their liabilities, the loans they gave out. Because that's what happens when banks or other institutions fail, when they have more liabilities than assets. I mean, they paid out more money to users than they have security for. So what happens if the client or user can't repay their loan? Basically, they're going to collapse, right? Because they gave out too much money that is not secured or backed by anything. That's essentially what happened during the housing bubble in 2008, 2009. So that's very important. At least they say the assets exceed their liabilities. Now, by how much, they didn't disclose this, and it's hard to say, and it's only anyone's guess, I suppose. But the fact they say that and they're being audited gives me confidence that this is actually a fact, because they wouldn't just make such a loose statement. That's a bold statement to make. And so I do believe that this is the case, and that's very reassuring to know. And that also comes from the fact that for them, loan collateralization is super important. So you always see on Nexo, when you take a loan, the LTV value, right? So that means loan to value. So whenever you take a loan, you need to have a certain percentage in collateral. So for Bitcoin, for example, the most dominant and stable crypto of all, if you were to take $100 in crypto loan from Nexo, you would need to lock up $200 worth of Bitcoin with them. So that's why their assets exceed their liabilities. And that's very important that they stress this. With even more volatile coins, such as Nexo token themselves, they actually have a 15% LTV, meaning for every $100 worth of Nexo token, you can actually only get $15 worth of loan paid to you. So that is really good. And I really like that they always stressed and emphasized the security of the collateralization of the loans. Another thing I really enjoyed about Nexo, unlike many of their competitors like Crypto.com or FTX, they spend very little on marketing. I mean, we've seen Crypto.com spending almost $1 billion worth of marketing money in sporting events around the world. I mean, mind-boggling. It was great for awareness, right? I mean, everybody knew about them, but now they have certain liabilities because these contracts are still in place. And, a lot of it was paid by crypto. So now that the price of crypto drops, they're going to have an issue repaying this potentially. So that's going to put extra pressure on them. And Nexo, as far as I'm aware, hasn't really gone on such a big marketing spree like those competitors did. And I think that helps them as well to really look after their own organic growth and maintenance of their portfolio and balance sheets. I mean, can we just briefly appreciate how cute this village is? Look at this. I mean, this is the place where lemons are literally falling from the trees and lying on the street. Unbelievable. Love it. Now, having said this, of course, ultimately it all depends on the overall direction in the crypto markets, because there's a certain price floor for all companies to sustain operations. If, for imagine, Bitcoin drops to 5,000 or even less, then you're really going to start running into issues, because even though in the case of Bitcoin, where you collateralized twice as much as you gave out, once the price drops so much, essentially you're backing your Bitcoin becomes way less valuable than what you gave out previously in fiat terms, right? In euro or dollar terms. And once that happens, then basically the assets will be less than their liabilities, and then you're gonna really have an issue. So what is this cutoff point? Honestly, I don't know. Obviously, we've seen for companies like Celsius, etc., it was around the $20,000 range. For Nexo, I'm personally not sure. Again, it's just an assumption, but I think if we go below 10,000, I think it's gonna be a really, really big struggle for them to maintain operation at such a level. Now, they also said in the interview that they see a lot of consolidation happening in the space, and I believe the same is true, because now that a lot of players start struggling, I think there will be more takeovers. FTX already helped out quite a few other crypto exchanges. Nexo actually offered initially Celsius to offer more liquidity or take some of the loans over to their account. Now, Celsius didn't take that offer, but now even Nexo has been in touch with Citigroup to help them discuss potential mergers and acquisitions of other players in the crypto space, which honestly would be great. I mean, don't forget, times of crisis are times of opportunity, so that might actually ultimately be a good thing for the crypto space. And some consolidation always happened. The same in the .com bubble, right? When there were so many fragmented players, and then a lot of them went out, and then only the good ones survived. And the same is going to be in crypto, NFT. 95% of the crypto coins and NFT projects, I do believe, going to disappear, and only the really valid ones that bring actual value going to sustain. And the same is going to be true for exchanges. There's been just too many, and I think hopefully like this, Nexo is going to be one of them that sustains these difficult times. And one thing we should keep in mind is, if now everybody starts running to the exchange and pulls their funds, that's not going to help the exchange, right? So I think it's important to be mindful of this as well and avoid a bank run like we've seen a couple of years ago when people were panicking, run to the bank, everybody takes their cash out, and ultimately the bank has no more liquidity. So I think that's also something to consider. Of course, we all need to make our own decision and firstly look after ourselves, but I just think it's important to avoid such panic. Otherwise, the exchange is going to have an issue, and ultimately us as users of the exchange. So once again, guys, the beauty with cryptocurrency is you can take full custody, full control of your coins, of your money, and simply take it off the exchange and keep it on your ledger. This is the safest way, especially in such times we're in. Now, at the same time, there's always going to be certain risk with cryptocurrency. And, I went into space to get high rewards, and I know I'm going to have to take a certain risk for it. So in the reasons I mentioned to you before, I still feel very much confident about Nexo. So I'm going to leave quite a bit of my money with them, because the fact I'm still going to get such high staking rewards, for me, is just a beauty to see every day, despite markets going down. I'm going to get interest paid to me daily. And, I really love that. But yes, some of my Bitcoin I have taken off the exchange and kept with my hardware wallet to make sure whatever happens, I have some of my money in full safety, and some other of my funds, I definitely leave them with Nexo, because now, as I said, if everybody starts pulling their funds, they're really going to have an issue. And secondly, those staking rewards are just too good to give up, because now the staking I get is paid to me in Nexo token, and now the token is so little. So now I'm basically going to get it at a much lower price. So once the price for that goes up, that staking becomes so much more valuable in the future. So guys, what can I say? Be safe out there, be mindful, think about the decisions, don't put all your eggs in one basket. I really recommend you to spread your risk across different exchanges, and some of it obviously in hardware wallets. Ultimately, only time will tell, right? Maybe one day in the future, we're going to look at this video and say, oh my God, how wrong I was. And that's what I'm saying. It's just my opinion. I have no idea what the future is going to bring. I'm just telling you what I think about it and what I'm going to do. Ultimately, as I always say, personal finance is, as it says, personal. So you got to make your own decisions. I hope you enjoyed the video, guys. If you did, then please smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. As always, guys, I thank you so much for watching. Stay healthy, get wealthy, and I'll see you in the next one. Ciao.